Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad you're able to join us tonight. If you're new to the channel, absolutely we welcome you to be here tonight. We're going to be talking about the recent Frank's motion regarding Kohberger. And before we get into it, of course, I always be respectful of mods, families, and others in chat as I do our presentation. If you have any questions, throw them in chat, and I'll get to them the best as we can. But if you have any information regarding this case, absolutely make sure that law enforcement has it, for the fact that as we try to seek justice for Madison, Kaylee, Ethan, and Zana, the prosecutor, law enforcement, the defense, they all have to have that information as Kohberger works his way through the court system. And of course, it's absolutely amazing that, bear with me, my throat's a little scratchy and itchy still. And so I'll try to talk for as long as I can tonight. Maybe y'all, or hopefully y'all are able to understand me and everything. But as we look at what's happened and occurred here, it's we don't have to go back very far into history to see another case that Frank's motion was filed. And we learned a valuable lesson through that previous trial. Speaking of the Delphi case with Abby and Libby, of course, and the conviction of Richard Allen for being responsible for the homicides and those Frank motions. And I think back and when I first saw that Frank's motion and the 136 pages of and I contacted Ruckus at that time and said, have you ever seen or heard of anything like that? And of course, neither one of us had. And I thought that would be something that would be pretty amazing, unmatched, to lay out any type of game plan, trying to show that law enforcement failed in a lot of different ways as far as presenting it to the judges to acquire probable cause affidavits and search warrants and everything that you can imagine for the investigation of a case. And now we get to this case, which is a huge case that has far more data, far more evidence than what was involved in the Delphi case. The amount of terabytes involved in this case is far exceeds and anything that any court case up to this point, for the fact that as we move into this digital age and we see how CSI is able to process and the videos that were seized, the evidence that was collected, and probably the processing that occurred at this crime scene, I'm hoping will far exceed and be of a better CSI quality of what was brought to the table by the agencies involved than what we saw with Delphi, because their CSI crime scene, while it was adequate enough to get a conviction, it was far lacking of what I expected, and on so many levels of from what I learned and was exposed throughout my law enforcement career and training of how you address crime scenes, obtaining warrants, information given by investigators to judges, and all the way through the system. And I expect it will be a little bit different with this case. Although there's going to be a lot of people that are very critical of this case as it moves forward, and I have no problem with that. For it's through being critical, critiquing, we have to have both sides of the of the spectrum to ensure that law enforcement is doing exactly what they have to do. They're dotting them I's, crossing those T's, and performing as we expect them. Now, of course, you'll have certain people that will always doubt and always jump to the conclusion that law enforcement is absolutely corrupt, that there's corruption everywhere, and then they go into the judicial system. And we have a new judge on this case, and I'm I'm impressed by this judge on so many levels, just by not that we're going to be going into the Frank's motion and the 2,000 pages of it, although we will be discussing that. I will be addressing mostly of how this judge has put it back onto the defense that of certain things that he's not going to do, that you are the attorneys, just like we saw with Delphi, that there were certain steps that Judge Gold didn't wish to have done. And we'll see that with this judge. It's very similar, that you don't mess with judges, and the judges have certain protocols and curriculum and decor that they wish to be addressed in their presence in the court, and how you file certain motions, and how, don't waste the court's time, because judges' times are extremely valuable. They understand that everyone has to have a fair trial, but we're going to do it by their rules, and they have rules and they enforce them, and everybody has to go by those. And of course, there's appeals and appellate courts afterwards if there's any missteps by these judges. All right. But anyway, a Frank's motion simply is a legal request to suppress evidence obtained through a warrant. And it's that basically just like we saw with the Delphi case. In this case, it's that law enforcement either purposely misinformed the judge with the intent of acquiring certain probable cause affidavits and warrants, or they withheld evidence intentionally. And that's a hard thing to prove. And we saw it was not able to be proved in the Delphi case. And I don't think there'll be much difference with this one. There could be. We'll find out in a few weeks if there's any standing to any of these claims. But it's just going basically right now. I have no reason to believe that there will be some missteps or that law enforcement purposely did anything to unjustly go after this individual who they didn't even have a clue who it was when they found that knife sheath that had the DNA of Kohberger. And that is absolutely key. Before we get too much further, let's go into chat and see what's going on here. All right. Okay, there's Junior Johnson. Has a missing person. Oh, yes. All right. Yes. I have a flyer for this also, Junior, and I appreciate you bringing this up. Before we get too far into it, we'll just flash her up there right quick. I'll remove you there, Junior. But this is a missing person that Junior Johnson put in. I checked my channel earlier and saw this. If you have any information regarding her, absolutely make sure that you get in contact with local law enforcement in Adrian, Michigan, regarding Brianna Soto, who went missing in May of 2023. But appreciate any of our community that wishes to give us a missing person. I'll try to start incorporating these missing persons, and I'll also do it at the end of the show. But let's get back into here. All right. All right. Like I said, I took this little snip from of what I thought was absolutely amazing from the Delphi case. And when we had 100 and I think it's 136 pages of a Frank's motion. And now we find out that 136 pages is nothing. Where I was impressed way back then, it has turned out to be that 136 pages absolutely is nothing. And that when we present this to this judge who replaced Judge with the movement of the trial to the 4th Judicial District, that Judge Hippler doesn't play any games. Absolutely doesn't. He absolutely, as you'll see in some of the, in his finding of and addressing the defense of that, there was no way in the world, let me remove this for a minute, that he wanted to go through, and this right here, if you can imagine what 2,000 pages are. This is a ream of paper that has 500 pages. And so he doesn't want to look through 4 of these reams of paper to look for and address and do the work of the defense or the state. His place in the court is not to do that. His place is to make rulings. The court has a lot of duties and a lot of things that they have to address within those court hearings. And it's not to do certain things. And Judge Hippler absolutely addresses that and makes sure that they understand that. Excuse me, like I said, throat's a little scratchy than that. So, but he absolutely has set the record straight and everything. But anyway, let's get back in here real quick before we get much further. But I just wanted to talk about a few of these things that he has done. And also, like I said, if you got any questions in chat, just throw them in there and I will address them. There's Marion Tate. Good to see you. Timmy's Legacy, which is Barbara Hall. Good to see you. Copper Horse. Thank you, Copper Horse. I have Copper Horse has put here about Timmy's Legacy, which is Barbara Hall, her new channel. And I have a link, just a few comments down from here, that's to her show. That I think she's having her initial show tomorrow night. From I just went to her page on her YouTube channel. And so if y'all would share that link and like it and watch it, it's going to be her first show. And so she's got a lot to learn about the being a YouTube creator. And of course, I wish her the best of luck. Hello, Cryptex. Good to see you. Junior Johnson. Louise Tresco. Good to see you. James Tate. And here is the link to the show for tomorrow night. So if y'all get a chance, go over there and share it with your communities, your Facebook friends, join the channel, sub, and absolutely. She has a viewpoint of what went on with her fight for justice that very few people have ever experienced and very few people would ever wish to experience. But anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing that perspective. And I'm sure she'll share a lot of information that will be beneficial to other families. Hello, Cunningham. Good to see you. Marion Tate. James Tate. Olivia, too. Always. It's this time of year. Hello. Happy pre-Thanksgiving, Stephen family. And we wish to extend that to all the other families in our communities and everyone out there that as the holidays approach, which I absolutely love Thanksgiving, and enjoy your time with your family this week. I won't be doing a show Thursday night. Hello, it's me, Calamity. Calamity. Oh, me. Hello, Cindy. Miranda Lee, good to see you. Oh, me. Thank you, Cancelo. Feel better soon. Just love Mr. Steve's soothing, strong, but warm voice. Reminds me of growing up in Middle Tennessee. I know he's from somewhere in Georgia. Yes, just a little bit south of the Tennessee line is where I'm originally was born and reared, and but now I'm a Floridian. I'm a Florida man. Oh man, I hope I'm not. I hope I don't turn into a Florida man. There's Melissa Wildcard. Good to see you. Mr. Steve needs some chai tea for his throat. Yeah, I need something. Miranda Lee says people respect him more because he's a man. I take it you're talking about Judge Hippler versus Judge Gull. Um, I I hope that's never the case. The judicial, being a judge and having that position, or even the attorneys, the court, like I said, in that type of arena, um, you know, I've met brilliant minds of both absolute uh, male and female, and I don't think was I ever before a female um, judge in our county. I don't think so. Um, I don't believe we had a female judge, but I'm from a much further back, and I think they're far more frequent now because I think if you go on YouTube and you look through judges and everything, it's probably pretty much, and even in some of our high-profile cases, there's probably just as many female judges that I've seen in the last recent content as I have, or some of the major cases as I have male judges, and rightly so. Olivia, too, good to see you. Sharon Edwards. And you're absolutely right. There's so much evidence on this guy. And of course, all this stuff that they're trying to do, they have suppressed. And that's what this Frank's motion is about all this other evidence that they have and all the potential evidence that is still sealed that was obtained. And of course, they're going for the fruit from the poisonous tree all the way back to the IgG and the DNA from the knife and how the FBI was able to acquire Kohberger's name and move forward with it. And they're trying to get all the evidence thrown out. I don't think that's going to be the case. And if that was ever the case, of course, without evidence, they would be done. Yes, Anna, this is what I was addressing just a few moments ago. In this case, there was some kind of argument about how the FBI used the DNA to identify BK. Was reported the method was illegal, and the FBI wants to suppress their method. The court systems will address that issue, and it will be determined not only by prior judges and this judge, but in the future. That if while a lot of people will scream and argue about how the IgG DNA was addressed and what it was used for and what other information led to Kohberger, that will come out. It will be addressed by the courts, and we'll know. But I agree. I don't think it's really that big a deal. Mustang 65, good to see you. All right, let's get in here and see what this judge has said a couple of times. Like I said, I'm impressed with this judge. That accompanying the motion are 38 exhibits comprising over 2,000 pages. 4 of these. Let's see if I can get this in here. 4 of those. Unfortunately, defendant's memorandum largely fails to identify with particularity the relevant portions of the exhibits. So they're within those 38 exhibits and the 2,000 pages, they randomly talk about certain things, and they don't key each area and relate it to specifics. And the judge is not going, it doesn't appreciate that, doesn't like it. And instead of referring simply to the exhibit number without identifying the precise pages at issue. And this judge doesn't like that. And as we continue, unfortunately, the defendant's memorandum largely fails to identify with particularity the relevant portions of the exhibits. So he's looking at the exhibits and he doesn't see the relevancy. Instead, referring simply to the exhibit number without the precise pages at issue. Thus, the court is left with the unenviable task of sifting through pages and pages of largely irrelevant documents to ascertain that portion defendant may be referring to. And I mean, that's a mouthful just there. And this is probably one of my all-time favorite things I've ever seen a judge make a statement to either prosecutor or defense. I've never seen one, although I probably saw it addressed in far more words, but he had it down that the court is not required to search the record looking for evidence. That's the jobs for the prosecutor, and that's the job for the defense, to bring that to the court so that decisions can be made if that evidence is admissible, or if you have an argument to have something suppressed, that just don't give us all the terabytes of information or the 2,000 pages of information and saying that within here there is the information that you need to build the timeline, you need to build the mind map, whatever it is, the schematics to understand of what we want and why we think that exhibit 38 is that somewhere within these 38 exhibits, somewhere within those 2,000 pages of information is more than enough to have the court to find for us, and he's not going for it. And he said, for the motion to be considered by the court, the defense must resubmit the supporting exhibits and exclude portions that are not relevant to the motion. He's simply saying, take all that word salad, toss it out on the corner. I don't want the word salad. I want that exhibit 1 or exhibit 2 or exhibit 38 is supported by this information for the court to find in your favor. That's all he's saying. And there's no beating around the bush with the man. I absolutely love it. And of course, there's going to be a lot of people, once again, probably jumping on saying that the judge is overstepping his bounds and what's going on here. We saw that in the previous, but we saw that for months. That's in this judge here, I don't think is going to allow the defense or the state to play around with this case. And I think that we'll be seeing it going to court as it's supposed to be, that will be again on August 11th, 2025 and continue through November the 7th, 2025, according to the scheduling order issued by the state of Idaho. And this is a new picture. I haven't had Mrs. Steve look at this picture and give me a thoughts on this stare. It's a very notable stare. And of course, everybody knows Mrs. Steve believes the eyes are the path to what's within the heart. And she'll tell you that he's a psycho. Oh, man. All right, let me get back into chat here, see what's going on. But I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Thank y'all. Let me see what's going on here. I gotta get something to drink. I think I'm breaking out in a little sweat here, guys. All right. See if anything happening in chat there. Thank you, Olivia. Doodlebug. Hello. Hello. Hello, humans. uh, and Anna says, and I'm probably mispronouncing it, Ada County or successfully tried both of the Daybells. They've had practice. Yes. And I would imagine that at some point, should Kohberger get convicted, that he will probably be in the same prisons as Daybell. Unless they have a lot of maximum security prisons within the state of Idaho. From my experience of being in Idaho, it's absolutely. I've never in my life seen anything that, as far as the beauty and the remoteness, and just a great group of individuals out there. They're different mindset than what Georgia, where I'm from. The people of each region and across the country, of course, have different ways and different mannerisms. And I've had the pleasure of meeting numerous people from Idaho, and absolutely great people. I have a group of individuals, Anna being one of them, that has assisted me as far as the being part of one of our teams on the West Coast that we use. Absolutely brilliant lady. And along with Dave and Hayes, absolutely great group of people. Texas Ranger says that change of venue ain't looking like the best decision made for sure. Yes, the defense fought for the change of venue, and of course it's taken over there, and now we have this new judge. And would we have had a new judge on the other side if he's going to retire? Probably so. It would have, the judges retire all the time. But yeah, it's. I think that with this judge, what will we see? We have far more evidence, I consider, regarding this case than we ever had with what happened in Delphi. We have DNA here. And I would expect that these attorneys, although every case is different than the others and every case has different arguments, but looking at, while we had images with Delphi, we have images here. While we had car images of vehicles in the Delphi case, we have images of cars here. While we had a image of a man standing on the bridge referred to as bridge guy, we have a witness standing in the room watching a bushy-eyed individual, bushy eyebrows, walk past within feet of her, that saw that was described his build, and they recovered a bloody shoe print from that location. And I think all of that together is probably just as supporting, whereas with the image of bridge guy, you couldn't identify anything about him. But through the description of our witness that saw the individual walk within a few feet of her, that is just as supporting through that witness descriptions as what the blurred image from the bridge guy image that no one could tell anything about. We just now have a live witness that says, yes, I saw this individual. And so will that carry through the courts and be enough? I think so, along with the DNA. I think he has a long uphill battle. Matt Hart, good to see you. Oh, man. Paula, excellent to see you. Thank you, Mustang 65. Justice for Timmy D's, absolutely. Anna says, True Crime Web, drink hot tea with plenty of honey for a scratchy throat. I have some honey that still have some of that. You gave, Anna gave me quite the loot of honey. I have a big jar of it that she gave me from Idaho. Lord Horror says that tomorrow night at 6 Central Time. Is that the time for Barber Show? I forgot to get the time. I just, like I said, I checked the channel and saw that she was having that show, but I forgot to put what time. So it's 6 p.m. Central, which is 7 Eastern. Why do I get commercials now? Something about YouTube, and they like your either your phone or your computer. I get commercials all the time. Let's see. Mustang 65 is already into the Turkey Day. I think I was on Christians Behind the Crime Door show last night, and I said I had bought a turkey that oddly favored Ruckus. Have you ever heard of a hot toddy laughing? Yes, my grandmother absolutely loved brandy, peppermint. She always made her own medicinal drink for the holidays and for the winter. She'd go up to up into the mountains in northeast Georgia and get her some apple brandy. I don't think she liked it hot. She kept her brandy in the freezer, but you wouldn't know that the brandy was frozen or because it doesn't freeze due to alcohol content, but it would burn. Yes, sound wise, that Hippler is too close for the evil dictator. It sound wise, I agree, but absolutely amazing that that's true. Judge Hippler hasn't removed any defense attorneys yet. That's what started the criticism against Judge Gull. But I saw in one of the motions that he has allowed the attorney general to give some special prosecutions or prosecutors aid to the state. And of course, the defense is jumping on that Judge Hippler is overstepping his judicial powers and doing that without a hearing. So we're going to see some of that the defense is going to be throwing up those points that Judge Hippler is much like all the other judges that they don't follow the rules. And what will it mean? Like I said, the courts have been around for a long time. There's nothing that any individual judge can ever do that that cannot be addressed by the upper courts to make sure that there's a remedy that can be put in place to fix whatever error that a judge makes. Nightbot likes to spam the chat. Curtis, Wrecking Crew West. There was my grandmother, on my mother's side. She was a wrestling fan back in the 60s and early 70s when there was a wrecking crew of wrestlers, or there was a wrestler named Wrecking Crew. I can't remember. I knew there was Junkyard Dog and Wrecking Crew or something like that. Y'all are bringing back some of memories, good memories though. Justice Jane, good to see you. The attorney is in a lengthy discourse on the law, explaining that federal agents, FBI, for instance, does not have to honor state subpoenas. Maybe that's what's happening in this case. Do not have to honor state subpoenas. I don't know. I know that I have seen a lot of federal agents testify in court. I don't know if I've ever seen one that lived within our jurisdiction that if they were served with a subpoena, I think that, and I know what you're talking about here, that there were certain trying to serve certain experts and the inner workings of how the FBI acquired certain information that they were allowed to squash those subpoenas. But there's a process on that. I know that I've seen where federal agents have testified in court and were subpoenaed, but those were local FBI agents within the jurisdiction of that were working on or assisting local cases. But I see what you're talking about, that also that if it's something that's such as lab work or something, or IT work, that they may have squashed those subpoenas. Matahari says there are a lot of cases that have been solved using genealogy sites. It really isn't news that it's not meant to be kept private. People are using their DNA to find other people who submitted DNA. I mean, yes, because a lot of those sites share that data field and data collection among their other members and links people up. I know that the courts will settle this. They always do. It'll get settled. It will probably just turn into that, just like it used to be with the getting information, as far as in the early days, back in the 80s, if we needed to know who was on a certain phone call, we could just call the phone company and say, hey, we had a phone call come into this number. Who was the other party? And they would, whatever technologies exist at the time, they would supply that. Just make note of it. Then it went to subpoenas. Now it's to that you have to acquire search warrants and things. And eventually that's how it's going to get worked out. I mean, it's not a big deal. Yeah, they're telling the attorney Taylor that get your crap together, or it isn't worth the old beans. Exactly. That we're not going to do your job. You're the one that says that law enforcement did certain deeds. Simply tell me which exhibit, what deed did they do? What is it addressing his Amazon account or his whatever on his phone, or his history of buying things within certain companies, that where is it that they misled the judge or the court, or restricted or did not supply or withheld information that would have changed the judge's opinion, as far as addressing that issue and signing that probable cause. I don't think they're going to find it, but they may. Olivia too says, I am so happy this this judge is going to be in charge. Like I said, when I saw him tell him that's not the court's job, I like that. He looks a little less creepy there. Now, I'm hoping you're talking about the. Um, are you talking about Kohberger looking less creepy there? I think he looks more creepy. If you're talking about Kohberger, if you're talking about the judge, I don't know. He's got a lot of neck hair. He needs to wax. Needs to shave. But I'm sure they're restricting his razors right now. Um, a lot of things are going on. Whoop, got to hit the right button here, guys. Timmy's legacy. Barbara says his eyes look evil. I would agree. Yeah, I wouldn't want to see that death row family photo, Kohberger and Dave. Mm. Chad Dable is in the maximum security prison near Kuna. Total wasteland as far as the eye can see. There's some beautiful country up there, but I haven't been to that part of the state I hadn't seen. He looks like he's gained a little weight. Must be that good old jail food. Um, Probably so. Yeah, the Moscow uh, had around 40,000 population. The majority believe uh, Kohberger was guilty, thus changed the venue. Yes, there's hearings for that. I saw, and I was able to. We had some change of venues of where we had, of course, within certain cases at high profile in our county would get moved out, but we also had the experience of where other cases would from counties across our state would come to our county, and fascinating. But that those judges, um, depending on the case, would come with the and oversee it if it was a special judge that was put in place. But the, I never saw a where one of our judges in our county handled a change of venue from another county of where a jury was brought in. But I did see where a judge was brought in and a jury from our county was selected, but with a special judge. Yeah, I knew it was Lata, look, whatever how you pronounce it, but I knew the R was wrong there. Olivia too says this case makes me sick. Absolutely. We have 4 innocent children, and I look at them as children. I know they're in college, but still young adults that did not deserve what happened to them. If you can stand it, gargle with apple cider vinegar. Mouthwash is not the same. I'll just have a scratchy throat. Oh, he's guilty. Well, you were correct on the. Well, a lot of us were correct on the Delphi. No, is the defense considering how the judge replaced? I haven't heard that, but I did see where they had requested that the judge um, had inappropriately assigned without a hearing. Will they eventually get to that? Who knows about requesting? Is there a link to the live tomorrow? I will see if I can find that. Yeah. I posted the link down at the bottom of the chat just then. So I'm about 13 minutes behind. So there's that link. It's at the top, and then it's also at the bottom there, Paula, for the Timmy's Legacy. Okay, it was the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Okay, we're both letting everybody know about our ages. Aquarian 1, good to see you. And that's another strange thing that we see, that with the Delphi case. Anna is absolutely correct. That they was trying to get an FBI agent to come in from, or even try to, I think, do it by remote, and the judge wouldn't allow the remote testimony or something, if I'm not mistaken, on the Delphi case. And then, of course, with this one, that they asked something about the IgG and some other information of how the FBI were able to come to that conclusion. And I don't think it got cleared up in the earlier hearings. Will they readdress it? Probably. No, the one for Timmy's Legacy will be tomorrow night. I think they said 6 Central. Kohberger. Yes. So glad that people are talking about the Idaho case now. And like I said, I think we're going to see that with this case, as far as the law enforcement abilities of how they will track, I think that we're going to get a education of new technologies, and not only what new technologies, but how our phones and even our vehicles, but especially our phones, even when they're in whatever mode that they're in, or even turned off, that there's going to be things that will track us. I think that will be the mainstay, that while Kohberger may not have that phone on his person, if he has it in that car, and if it still has things that are running that none of us know about, is that some of the evidence that was related to by some of the family members, that we will be exposed, and investigators will be exposed to new intelligence or knowledge about how people are tracked. And I think that will be the case. Yes, this is the link to the Timmy's Legacy show for tomorrow night. Yes, that judge in the other jurisdiction in Latah County, or how you pronounce it, is retiring. Moscow. I'm with you. I wish they hadn't tore the house down. There has to be more evidence in there. Not only that, but it took away the jury's ability to visit the that residence. And I know they can say, well, it wouldn't be in the same, but then it's as close as you would ever get. because there's things that you boots on the ground. There's nothing that beats it. Doesn't matter if it's in a house. Doesn't matter if it's in an open field. Um, as you can ask any of the families I've worked with, you can ask any of the teams I work with, that you can ask Anna, and she'll explain to you that boots on the ground will absolutely tell you things that you never would have known without being there, that things just stand out to you, that you can read and you can watch YouTube channels, you can watch all this stuff, you can see the mapping done from Google Earth and other, and see all of that. But once you stand there and take it all in, boots on the ground, it's a totally different perspective. And yes, you're right. They don't call them smartphones for nothing, and they gather a lot of intelligence. If you leave your phone on, I mean, you go in any store now, and your phone um, dings, pings, whatever it wants to do, and tells you, "Hey, um, welcome," or "We have sales going on," and never knew that. But and then you go back home, and you start getting ads. You're welcome, Barbara. Um, Mr. Steve, did Ray quit Kohberger's defense team? I heard a rumor. I don't know yet. I haven't heard, um, but um, if that's out there, I hadn't seen anything about it. Could be absolutely true. I don't know, or not. I just don't have any idea right now. There hasn't been another crime like this since Kohberger was arrested. I saw earlier tonight, if I ain't mistaken, I think um, Sleuth Intuition was talking about a couple of other um, deaths that had occurred due to stabbings or in home invasions in the middle of the night. And so that happened prior to this. Now, of course, will law enforcement look at and see and do a timeline of when and if Kohberger could have had access to that region, or because there is a distance and time frame for those cases, and would law enforcement try to link him to them? Absolutely. Doesn't mean they were able to, but they would check into it. On my phone. Oh man, the only phone I know that they can stay out of is uh, uh, your brother-in-law. His phone. Although I think James has a new phone now. Oh man. Thank you, Marion. It says thank you to Crime Web for all you do for your families and giving us support for our loved ones. And thank you. Um, absolutely. Yeah. James and I used to have two of the oldest phones. I have no doubt that when we were present together, anywhere that between his old phone and my old phone, um, neither one of them, you couldn't put them together and make a complete phone. Anna says, ask Alexa seems to monitor private conversations. Mentions going to dinner or getting a candy bar and appropriate ads pop up pertinent to your location. I have heard that. I've never used it. I've never used that. This is very kind. And of course, we wish everyone, as we get nearer to the end of the show tonight, I want to thank everybody and make sure um, uh, uh, that y'all are aware of how much we appreciate y'all's support, and we hope y'all enjoy your holidays with your families, and eat yourself into a turkey coma, because I plan on doing that. I absolutely do. James says, yes, we did, and know that we're the old ones, not the phones. All righty, guys. But I don't think, like I said, when you look back at this case as we move forward, I'm kind of grateful that what happened with Delphi, we were able to experience that. We saw the Franks motion. We as a society, we were seeing these cases. We're bringing something new to it. It's being analyzed. I think the average American now has a better understanding of our court system, better than in any time in history. And we need the oversight. So I don't really have problems, regardless of where you stand, looking at these cases. And if you're pro Kohberger or pro defense or pro prosecution, it takes both sides to make sure that justice is found for these victims. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for being here. Y'all stay safe out there. I'm going to go get me some hot coffee or something for my throat. But y'all take care, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. I won't be doing anything for Thanksgiving other than eating. Night.